How's it going, everyone? Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all my new content and uploads. Smash the like button as it really helps to make the channel grow and I really appreciate it. If you're looking for top quality templates and sample packs, check the link to my store in the description. They're entirely royalty free, you can use them in your own productions and learn from them. So I hope you enjoyed the video and have a wonderful day. How's it going, everyone? I hope you're all good. As you're probably aware, it's been a very long time since my upload schedule has been consistent, and I apologise for that. I've just been going through some health issues, but without further ado, I want to get straight into the video. Don't want to waste any time. I want to make a small series where I go through and make a small drop and break using Splice. In today's episode, we're going to be making house, deep house, piano house, anything along those lines, so we'll see what comes up. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. Smash the like button for more content. I've got a lot of videos on the way now, and let's get straight into this. So I think we'll begin with drums and get them out of the way since they're in the drop, sometimes in the break. We're going to look at the Spinning Records UK House Splice Pack. There's some very good samples. Right, I'm not a fan of any of them, I'll be honest with you. So we're going to go to claps and hi-hats and stuff and get some good drum loops going. Classic, old school. They're very synth type of toms. I'm not a big fan of them. I think for now we'll just go back to the recently added and drag in the hi-hat and the clap. Let's get them two in here. We're currently working in 124 BPM, so we're just going to stretch this for 4 bars. There we go. Perfect. So we've renamed the 3 things to their designated things: a clap, open hat, close hat, just to keep it organized. I think there's another pack I've got in mind. I can't remember the name, so I'm going to quickly stop the recording, find it, and then we'll continue. There we go, I found it. It's called Trademark Series by Mark Knight, made by Toolroom. This is a very good pack. We're going to filter out kicks. I believe there's a kick drum here. I think it's this one right here. And we're going to chop the first one. We're going to click this little symbol here, make unique sample, and then save it as a unique sample. So we now have full control over the individual one shot instead of having a 4-bar loop. We're going to retitle this kick to keep organized. And we're going to turn up the out knob just to make it a little shorter so it's not as long and boomy, because we're going to have a long sub bass to fill this in. And that sounds like this, as opposed to this. Yeah, now we just do a 4 to the floor. We're going to turn these down in a second. They're very loud, but we're just going to get the general idea down. We're going to do this. We're going to do the same thing to the open hat, just to make it a little more snappy. Now for the closed hat, we're going to use this as an individual syncopated rhythm. So on the first and third beat, turn it down a bit. Pretty simple. We're going to look for another top loop just to spice it up a bit. And then we're going to work on some more melodic sounds, drop sounds, FM bass, stuff like that. So I've got a top loop here which matches the BPM, which is very nice. And I've also gone and grabbed a perk one shot. It sounds like this. It has a reverb tail, a very short decay. So what we're going to do is completely turn up the out knob. And then we also have this top loop right here. As you can hear, it has a lot going on, a lot of hi-hats. So we're going to make sure they fit with the current ones we have. Otherwise there'll be too much high end going on, too much clashing. So we're going to add all these into the mix to get some volume going and actually make all these fit into one. So now we've got them all in the mix-up, we're going to solo the kick. I think that sounds good for now. I think what we might do is just add a glue compressor and just go onto the kicks and choose inside tight. Just takes a lot of that boomy effect out, usually around this range here. And what I'm going to do with the clap is I'm going to open an LFO tool. I'm going to click this little button here and it will reveal the waveform of the sound. There you go, you can see it here. So it's quite a long style clap. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring it down like this, and we're going to just make a small edit to the sound so it's not as long. There we go. So before we take off the kick, this was before the LFO tool. Next we've got the top loop. Of course we lowered the volume here as well, so we're going to turn it up, just have a bit more control. The only thing I'm going to do with the top loop is do a dip in the 9 kilohertz range, which is really the prominent area of the hi-hats or any sort of hi-hat cymbal white noise. And then we're going to add a fruity stereo shaper. We're going to choose one of these stereoize presets. Number 2 sounds good, just to turn it a bit more stereo, wider in the mix. And then we're going to add the other open hat and mix these two together. And I think we are good. What we might do is add all these into one bus and do one final compression. But for now, we'll leave them as it is. And we're going to move on to the more melodic elements. So I think we're going to go with more of a piano house style track. I have an idea of a melody in my head right now for some chords. So we're going to quickly get them down. Of course, we're using the M1 piano classic. Why wouldn't we? It's the best sounding piano for house in my opinion. So we're going to quickly load that in, which is literally called M1 house piano. We're going to take off the hall reverb. We're going to turn down the ensemble reverb to around 0.8. And we're going to quickly make a melody. So these are the root notes. We're just going to go up and make simple chords. It'll be G sharp major. So now we're going to add a couple extra notes just to fill out the chords a bit more, make a few more unique chords. So I think we're going to keep what we have right now. If we're going to make changes, I'll make them off recording so it don't take up more time. But this is what we have so far. That's a good basis to start from. I think what we're going to do, we've added this classic M1 organ sound. We could add that in the lower end, just to add a bit more rhythm. We'll just rename this organ. It's just a one shot, but it's essentially the M1 organ. But it's a lot easier to control because it's a one shot, so it's not taking up much CPU. Hold Control, left click and drag. Click Control C to copy these individual notes. Go onto the piano roll, click Control V, and it will paste it. Hold Control and click up on the arrows, it will put it up an octave. So now the M1 organ on its own sounds like this. The first one we're going to do is add an OTT onto the organ. That really emphasizes the high end. And we're going to add a transient processor and turn up the attack just to add a bit more click. This is more personal preference, but I always find there are certain frequencies in the M1 piano that I find annoying, so we're going to quickly cut them out because they are bugging me. That's pretty good. What we're going to do now is copy these piano chords. We're going to load up Nexus, and we're going to use a preset called Dance Piano. There we go. So we've got to do this first. I apologise, I'll be back in a second. Right, so we've updated Nexus, I apologise for that. We're going to go into Pianos, and then right here, Dance Piano. We're going to turn off the reverb and delay, go into Layers. Just to see, because sometimes Nexus has layers that you don't want. I'm going to keep all three because they sound pretty good. Then what we're going to do with this piano is we're going to make it very wide with a stereo enhancer. And we're going to add stereo shaper and do stereoize 3. See see when I turn it on, it just makes it more brighter, more wider. And then we add the M1 organ too. I've done a tiny bit of work off recording. I just started working on the break. I've added a high string, some more drums, and started the build up, and also made a unique and made a new rhythm. So this is what I have done. So originally it was this. And then I changed it and made a unique into this. Which is still the same chords, but it's just a different rhythm to keep it interesting, and this was probably what we'll use in the drop. We've made the notes longer to more sustained, to keep the energy going, fill it out more. And then, like I said, we added a high string, and then some build-up drums, and now it sounds like this. The next thing we're going to do is just to make the build up more energetic, add some endless smile, add some sweeps and crashes and effects, just to make it more exciting and more tension building, and then we'll start working on the drop. So we've now added some effects, some simple crashes and free risers, just to add more tension in the build. Also done some automation in the build as well, some low cut, some endless smile, taking it down around 2 dB for the last 4 bars of the build so the drop sounds louder, and making the last 4 bars go a tiny bit mono, so when the drop hits, all the sounds, drums, piano and all that are more stereo and wide, so the drop sounds bigger as well. So yeah, now overall this is what we have. I also filtered out the snares as well and the piano as well, just to build up the more tension. So now the build up sounds like this. I think we might see what we already have downloaded. I think we have an FM bass somewhere. There we go, that sounds very nice. I think we're going to use this. That doesn't sound like F to me. I think it sounds a bit like C sharp. We're going to double check with G tune. And then we're going to copy the organ pattern, make a new pattern and paste it into the FM bass. I think I might use this as the sub bass as well, just to save time. So what we can just do is be lazy and boost the low end with an EQ. We're going to add OTT as always, because OTT is goated, so we'll use it. A technique we can do to completely get a perfect sidechain with the kick and bass is that we can add an LFO tool onto the kick, and we'll do what we've done before with the clap, where we just show the waveform. So we'll actually take this up, so no sidechaining is going on. So that is the actual waveform of the kick. So the second half of this kick is completely empty. So now we can take that into account into the FM bass. So now we'll solo the FM bass. And we'll make sure to add an LFO tool after the kick start. So we'll show the actual sidechain waveform. Do the same thing, we'll turn this on. So you're seeing there's a lot of information here playing alongside the kick. So we're going to need to add a more powerful sidechain, so we'll try the mids chain. And then what we'll do now is we'll actually use the LFO tool to do a tiny bit of correction, just to smoothen out that sidechain a bit more, just to make sure the kick and the bass sit perfectly together. Nice, so now we're going to add the piano again. This is not sidechain, so it's going to sound awful. But for the drop, we're going to make entirely new pianos. We're going to use the same M1, but we're going to process it differently. We're going to add new layers, and we're going to make it sound a lot more bigger than the break, because the drop's the most important part, so we're going to do that now. So I think I'm relatively happy with what I've made for the drop. Could do with a lot more layering and more precision to mixing, but at the moment I'm very happy with it, so I'm just going to leave it where it is and play you the final result. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that. I'll quickly go through what I did for the drop. So I showed you the FM bass and the organ for the sidechain. I added this beep. Just add more ambience and melodic structure to it. And then I used 3 layers for piano. I used M1 piano 8. It sounds like this if I was to play it on solo. Very similar to M1, the M1 piano. This is the actual M1 piano here. It's very more mono than the piano 8. I used a stereo plugin for piano 8, and then we just used the same Nexus piano. But instead of using the one in the break, we just loaded another Nexus. These are the channels. We just got a simple EQ, stereo enhancer OTT, stereo shaper OTT. Stereo enhancer and shaper are very different. I'll just use it to make it a tiny bit wider. And then we linked it all to a bus. Used a simple 3-punch 90% kickstart to boost the 1000 or 1.4K hertz. Dipped to 5K. If I was to play it, you'll hear it a very resonant frequency. Not very nice. A stereo imager from Waves. A fruity multiband compressor. Or a FabFilter multiband compressor, apologies. OTT again because we love OTT. Fruity delay. Noveltech character. And a fruity blood overdrive. So without them it would sound like this. Yeah, hope you enjoyed. And yeah, we'll play one final drop result and then we'll end the video. So yeah, that is what we come up with. So I hope you enjoyed. If you learned anything, smash the like button. I really appreciate it as it helps the channel grow. If you have any more suggestions, leave them in the comments. I'll be sure to check them out and try and get around to making them. If anyone's interested in me dropping this project for free, leave a comment down below and I'll probably give it out for free at some point, just with a simple mega link. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Have a wonderful day and I'll speak to you all later on.